Yes. Welcome to today's Passionate Soulpreneur Spotlight interview with the beautiful Erin Koczur. Erin, how are you and welcome?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm doing fabulous. Thank you. And I'm so happy to be here.
That,
Any time spent with you is just so good.
thank you. Thank you. So I'm having my German words come up again. I was about to say Gleichfalls, which means the same back to you in return. The same back to you in return, Erin. I
Thank
wanted
you.
to go ahead and hear about your story, Erin. You are also a heartpreneur, a soulpreneur, a spiritpreneur. And I know that you've had a lot of inspirational experiences that if you can share it with some of our listeners, it might help to inspire them to make some steps in beginning their own
Yeah,
soulpreneur journeys. So who
I
are
would
you? Who
love.
is Erin?
All right. Well, I am Erin Koczur, and I am a master light worker. I am the founder of the Lightworker Development School, and I am a psychic development mentor and a spiritual coach. And obviously, that's where I am now. That's not how I started.
Is it not? How did it start?
No, it started with been a psychic medium my entire life. Obviously, I didn't know those words when I was little.
Mm.
I didn't know. I also didn't know I was different. I remember being 3 years old and hearing a deep, deep, booming voice say my name, and he told me to stop. I was doing something rolling or something, and stop. Oh my God! My little 3 year old legs went running as fast as they could.
Oh my goodness.
Ah! Had them search. We lived in a center hall colonial, so it was like basement, 2 floors, the third floor, the attic. I mean, so and they're searching this house. So we're going back to the late 1960s, guys.
All right.
And yeah, and there was no one there, but and then over time, I would hear that same voice, and it always scared me. And after a while, it didn't scare me anymore. I was like, okay, whatever. And then no matter where I moved to or lived, that voice was there. It
Interesting.
wasn't. It wasn't until I was in my 30s, guys. So from 3 to my 30s, that I found out it was my spirit guide. I had never heard of spirit guides. When I was growing up, um, staunch Italian, New York, Roman Catholic father. Yes, guys, I went to Catholic school,
Oh,
knee highs, the little skirts, the vest, everything. And everything what fell under the umbrella of the occult. New Age didn't exist then.
yeah.
It was either religion or the occult. There was nothing in between. There was no word as I'm a spiritual person.
Yeah.
And I just had abilities. I was just able to do things. I would um thank God for Hans Holzer's ghost stories, because at least it gave me something, because it was just, I knew who I was, but I didn't know who I was. I didn't know the words. I just knew things. I knew I could do things. um my
So
mother
there
was
was
very,
no one there in your
no
life
one.
to let you know, hey, what you're experiencing, it's actually normal. Not everyone can experience the same, but it's normal. There's nothing wrong or totally different.
I was very fortunate that my mother was, she was so supportive, but she did it so quietly and so subtly that I didn't really realize until I was in my 40s that my mom was like, because she would come to me when I was young and she would ask me a question, but she would say, so what do you feel about blank? Or what do you think about this? And it may even be like something about a future event. And I remember I would always just kind of cock my head. I still do that when I'm I and or I cock, and I would just get the answer and I would give it to her. And she was like, okay. And then whatever my answer was, she acted upon. So she validated who I was and that it was working and
Mm.
validated what I told her. But that was in such a subtle way that, I didn't, it just was like, okay. Um, I was very fortunate that growing up, friends didn't make it weird for me, although I did realize early on not to tell the nuns exactly everything that I was doing at home. But that's okay.
So did some of
Um,
your friends also, I don't know, like get wind of what it was that you were doing, or you
as
shared?
I got, yeah, as I got older, like in my teens, things, see, as things would just happen. I was like 8, and I remember thinking to myself, I was 8 or 9, and I was washing some dishes or something, and I was playing a Donny Osmond album, and that was back, when you had to put the stereos and the LPs, and you had to put the thing on, and the album was ending, and I was thinking about just how much, like, oh my god, I wish we just start back over because my hands are wet and I'm blah 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 blah, and then all of a sudden the album started over,
No,
and I went,
beautiful.
okay. um or I had read about seances or something, so I decided to just, like, okay, so I just got the neighborhood kids that were younger than me together, and I'm just doing this thing. I knew nothing about protection. I knew nothing
Yeah,
about what to do. My Ouija board, Parker Brothers marketed it as a game. So I'm just doing this stuff, not understanding or knowing what I was really tapping into or the repercussions. So, just doing it.
sure.
But I do want to share, and then visions would just come,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
I didn't know. I'd be sitting with my friends, and all of a sudden everything black out. I would see something, and then I would tell them, and it turned out it was something that was literally going on someplace else at that moment. So it was validated. My friends were like, whoa.
Yeah.
But they never took advantage of it. They never made it seem weird. It was always like, they were like, it's cool that you're who you are. The universe really
Beautiful.
gave me that. Even though I didn't have guidance, I have this quiet support system.
That's beautiful.
And when I went on into the corporate world, and I was a director. I loved the corporate world. I had my power pumps and my day planner and all of that. And I was pregnant with my first child, and but I'm still there 3 o'clock in the morning. Back in the day, you had to get a telex over to Moscow. That was the time of day you had to do it.
Wow.
um Unfortunately, my daughter Brittany passed,
I'm sorry.
and that shifted me. All right, that shifted me. I um i didn't want to do the corporate game anymore.
Sure.
And when I was expecting my next daughter, I was just like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. Praying my little heart out. Financially, though, had to kind of go back into it, and I did. And
Mm.
then the universe blessed me. My job was eliminated, and they had nothing that they could offer me unilaterally.
So despite it could have been perceived as something negative, it was a
But
blessing.
so at that point, I said, okay, I want to be home. I want to be raising my daughter. I want to be raising my children. This is, no, I really had no desire for that. And it was that happening that gave me the time and the opportunity, because right as that happened, the new age door appeared. You had Louise Hay come out. You had Doreen Virtue come out. You had Hay House and all of their authors come out. You had Dr. Wayne Dyer start coming out and talking. You know, Sylvia Brown.
Yeah.
And they were now, because media was different, right? And they're doing books, they're doing TV shows, they're things like psychic fairs or, you know, new age shops and things like that started opening that did not exist before. So it coincided. And I now, if I was still, you know, I wouldn't have had that time or given myself permission. And this is the big message I need us to get across here, is about giving ourselves permission to do the things we want to do, explore the things we want to explore.
Absolutely.
Women are not taught to give themselves permission. We are taught to be there and do for others. And yes, we'll hear about self-care, but true self-care is if there's something that interests you, whether it's like you want to learn about angels or you want to learn how to paint with your toes, it doesn't matter. You're the only one responsible for you. Give
Yeah.
yourself that permission. So I did. But I did it in a little way. In a little way.
And you mean
Little
by giving yourself permission to share that part of yourself with others?
share it, but also explore it.
Okay.
Buy the books, take the classes, hire the coach, do. And because of that, doing what I did opened me up to now Reiki, and Reiki, which of course then opened me up to other energy modalities. And as I kept going and I would study, I'm voracious about studying. I then also learned that there was the science part, right? Because everything's energy.
Yeah.
And then I studied, I'm a clinical board certified hypnotherapist, and I studied NLP, neuro linguistic programming. So I started to really study the mind body connection and just, you know, deep dive
Yeah.
into, you know, everyone from Esther Hicks to Bob Proctor. I've worked with Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, you know, because I was then learning all of this stuff, but I had to give myself permission to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you something. I didn't really give myself permission until I was already in my 50s
Amazing.
to really, really take that dive into the things. And I'm going to share with you my pivotal moment. There were many pivotal moments.
Sure.
Been through divorce, lost my house, having to just all sorts of stuff. Okay. And, you know, calling on my angels and really having to trust and believe. But the big pivotal moment for me, I was sitting on the edge of my bed. Okay, before that, I had moved to a new area, a new state, and I didn't know anybody. And I definitely didn't know anybody like me. Where I moved ended up really being the Bible Belt of the US.
Interested.
People had never even heard of Reiki, which blew me away because I didn't know that there were people that hadn't heard the word. So it was eye opening. But I found a meetup, and it was for personal development. And I remember to this day, even though that was so many years ago, I still keep in touch with the person who ran that meetup, and I send them thank yous.
Oh.
Every time I achieve something new, I send them a thank you, because if it wasn't for the words that they said, they were the key for me. And that's what they said, that if there's anything you want to do, if there's anything that you really want to explore, if there's anything that you're not really giving yourself permission to
Permission.
do, be, have, or experience. If you're waiting for someone to give you permission, he said,
That.
guess what? I give you permission. If you have been waiting for someone to give you permission, I give you permission. He said, because let's be honest, the only one responsible for you, your happiness, your joy, your sorrow, your accomplishments, your failures, or your whatever, it's you. 24/7, you are with you. You are really the only one responsible.
Yeah.
But I understand that sometimes you don't even realize that you're waiting for permission. So I give you permission.
Yeah. And I think it's important that we are reminded that we can give ourselves that permission.
But that was a concept that was so mind-blowing to me. I didn't even realize I was waiting for someone to give me permission
No,
until he said that.
no.
And at that moment, I understood if I was waiting for someone to give me permission, oh my God, how many people are waiting for someone to give them permission?
Very true.
So I had already had my certification in hypnosis, but I knew I had always wanted to study hypnotherapy. Okay, I really wanted to know about that. So right then and there, I said, okay, I'm going to give myself permission to do that. You talk with pure intent, the universe answers. Out of nowhere, on my computer came up some sort of an ad in my email, like talk about for a hypnotherapy program to study and become certified that was being held. Instead of me having to fly to some other, it was within driving distance of me in the next state.
Beautiful how that all works out when we set our true intention that's aligned. You
Okay, so now this is something that had been on my back burner for over a decade. And I was like, oh, that's so nice. But my mind didn't even conceive of, yes, I can do that. Because my mind said, oh, the money, the time, the travel, the this, the that, like all of this other stuff.
mm,
I didn't realize I was waiting for someone to give me permission to say, hey, if that's something you want to explore, something you want to do, even if you do nothing with it, what does it matter? Do it. It's your life.
right.
So I went. And because I did that, it opened me up to other things that I then went on to study. And one of them was NLP, and we do
Mm,
timeline therapy, where we work with the top 5 limiting emotions. I said limiting. Love is not limiting.
no.
So it's the top 5.
Yeah.
Anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt. Guilt, shame.
Mm,
So here I am. Oh, my apartment, my place flooded. Everything I own is in a storage unit that someone else moved into there for me. I didn't even know what sandwich was not. I'm staying at someone else's house. I'm in a tiny little bedroom with my twin bed, boxes all over. I not at my best, happiest space in life, okay? And I remember sitting there and I did this technique for hurt. No, I'm sorry, for fear, for fear, for fear. When I was done, it didn't take long. I opened my eyes and I felt like I was looking through new eyes.
wonderful.
I was literally looking through new eyes. I felt like I was in somebody else's body looking through new eyes. And I right there realized how many decisions I made in life that came from a place of fear, including ones that I thought were me being a good person,
Yeah.
which I still would maybe do those things, but it came from a place of fear. I didn't want people to not be happy. I didn't want people to judge me. I didn't want people to be angry with me or upset with me if I didn't do A, B, C, or D. I did a lot of things that came from a place of fear. I won't be
Mm.
loved. I won't be liked. I won't be valued. I won't be. But I didn't realize. So even these great things I was doing in my life, but I didn't realize that they weren't coming from that purity,
Right.
that they were actually coming from a place of fear, this little girl fear. And I wasn't living where I wanted to live. I wasn't with who I wanted to be with. I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. I mean, literally, I sat there and there's bam clarity of, ah! And at that moment, I said, okay, let's do this. I said, let's do this. And I said to the universe, I'm going to be dead honest, guys. I'd been doing readings and Reiki sessions and workshops and teaching, and people were starting to ask me, can you teach me about this? Can you teach me about that? And I'm doing it. But it was like little drips and drabs, right? I had my main job, but I was doing this little on the side, da da da. But I looked up at the universe and I said, I want to get paid. I want to fully support myself, being me, who I am, using my gifts, helping others. I don't know the how, but you know what? I know that there's unlimited crap I don't know, that you know more than I do. So here's the deal. I am going to take some physical steps. I literally got rid of. When I say got rid of, I didn't mean sell. I mean, I literally donated, dropped off, or gave away for free more than half of what I owned, including all my furniture, except for this desk that I am now sitting from.
Wow.
And a piece of antique furniture that, oh, it looks like it's been through the war. But when I got it, I was like 13 years old and it was already like 75 or 80 years old then.
Wow.
So those are the only two pieces. Everything else I got rid of. I gave away. I booked a storage unit to go through the one that held my stuff, what was ruined, what isn't. I cried a lot of tears. I sentimental saver, everything has meaning. And I cried as I am giving it away. I remember when the family came to take my dining room set. I didn't expect it, but I started crying. I cried because I was remembering all the time around that table. And that was the table that when my children were growing up and we did all of our little arts and crafts and our this and our that and our just
All
learning to
those
eat.
memories coming up.
Oh.
Yeah.
So right,
Yeah.
I'm sobbing and the woman is thanking me and she said, I promise you we will make memories like that with our children
Oh.
and my family. And it was beautiful, but I knew I had to do this and I had to trust. Trust is not easy because you're not trusting the universe. Guys, when we say have faith or trust, you're not trusting the universe. It's trusting yourself.
That's
Trusting
right.
yourself. Trusting
Trusting
your
yourself.
decision.
Yeah.
That's what the trust is. And I did. I packed up what I had left, moved 1,300 miles back to the state I wanted to live in. I hadn't lived in 30 years. But I was like, no, I need to go home. And
Yeah.
that's where I want to be. And I never moved back there because of fear. Fear I couldn't afford it, fear of the
Yeah.
blah, 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 because it is known for its high tax rates and stuff. And I was like, no, I gotta. Moved into my daughter's house, stayed in a room. I didn't even have, my own. And I said, give me 3 months. And I still had a younger daughter. And I was like, listen, give me 3 months.
Wow.
And, and then I understood I co-create my reality. Yes, I'm asking my guides, my guardians, my angels. I am tapping into the universal life force. I am going to, let's do this, but I got to do my part. We co-create. A lot of times we wait for something to land in our lap. Even when it lands in your lap, you still have to take action. You have to do something with that energy.
Correct.
So I did. I said, okay, I'm going to do this as a business. I am going to get a serious business mindset, go from hobby mindset to business mindset. And I don't know how to do this. When you don't know how to do something, I researched, and I said, you know what? The more I research, the more I know I need someone to show me how to do this.
Yeah.
So I did. I invested in me. I invested in my business. It didn't make sense. At this point, I am not even lying. I didn't even have enough to make my car payment.
Wow.
So it was, don't think it wasn't scary.
I can imagine it was scary. And I think a lot of us, let's say moms out there, some of us, we don't have, or we're not living in that perfect picture of the marriage and, all of that stuff, the family story. But we still have this drive or this pull or calling that's trying to get us to do something totally different than corporate work, working for someone else. And we know
And that's a
we want to
scary
change
step.
something.
That's a
It's
scary,
scary.
scary step, because we want that stability. Not only do we want the stability for ourselves, we want that stability for our children.
Mm.
And here's the thing. Um, First off, everything is energy.
Yeah.
Everything is energy. And I teach this, Amanda, I put the emphasis. That's where your psychic abilities is about, tapping into that energy, stripping off the energy that's not yours. Spiritual knowledge, and going out and teaching and showing others. Um, Everything is energy. And first, take an honest look at yourself.
Yeah.
And next, I literally will sit and talk to the universe as if, not because my best friend I'm co-creating, just like a best friend. If I
Yeah.
want to vent, if I want to bitch, notice I
Yes.
didn't say it, but if I want to get snarly and nasty, and I have literally looked up, because I had now been working with the business coach for like about 5 or 6 months, right? And this and that and da da da. And I was so focused on mindset, because I knew how liberating, I knew how the couple of techniques literally transformed and changed my life, that I went from sitting on this bed in this little room that's not even my place. It was just a friend's place, because my place had been wiped out,
Yeah.
right? And I had a child and I had pets, and I'm like, okay. And I went from that to, then I was sitting in a 5-bedroom house in the state I wanted to live in, that was 1,300 miles away. And I was working, getting a business growing and going and connecting and doing a little bit more. And I was actively working, but I wasn't like going, okay, listen, this is not really fully supporting everything. Okay, like, but I had a, and I looked up and I said, what the freaking is this? I trusted. I've done the work. I am here doing it. What the heck am I missing? Because this is,
Yeah.
and I'm going, listen, I have read enough, taken enough courses, worked with enough people to know that this is. So
I love
I
how
put
you're
up,
whispering that part.
I'm like, I did it. I put up. Where the hell are you?
So after all of those trials that you did go through, trials, lessons, however you want to put a name on them, your experiences, what did you begin to do? Just in a nutshell, if you can share with us.
Okay, when things were really super scary, one of the things that I had learned was calling upon my angels,
Mm,
or calling upon angels. They're there whether you believe in them or not. It doesn't
mhm.
really matter. Just like right now, there are sound waves all around me, even though I can't hear them, see them, feel them, touch them. because they're the ones who can manipulate energy.
Mm.
So I would ask them to please bathe me in energy of calm. Help me to feel calm, to feel better, okay? Because, the tears, especially when you're a mom, it's so
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah.
You can't just leap for yourself, right? You're leaping with
You're
others.
correct.
So I would ask for that. That was how I would, I'll never forget. And this is what solidified it for me. One night I was so, and I just said, please, 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 please just help me feel better. Just because let's not even solve it yet. Let's start with here, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I felt this calm come over me at peace. And then I felt a hand on my back because I was laying on my side. And I went to sleep. And that gave me the confidence to trust in that. And so I kept asking for it. And whenever I would get upset, help me feel better. And then I would say, help me think clearer. Help me to be aware of opportunities that maybe I'm not seeing. Help me, so I was asking more, not for you fix everything out here. Help me. Help me be aware. Because I knew I was psychic. I knew all of this stuff, but it was like, okay, help me.
Yeah.
And then I didn't know at the time what it was, but it was actually a manifestation tool. I didn't know that. But I started writing down exactly what I was looking for, exactly what I needed. Okay. Writing it down, a place to live and within this budget, and my girls with a good school, and da 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 da. And it literally came down to like almost the wire, but then literally, bam, someone I knew but never thought in this da da da. Ladies' lunch. I used to put together ladies' lunch once a month for all the moms in the neighborhood so that we would have a couple of hours of adult conversation and not having to eat peanut butter and jelly crust. And see, I was bringing together communities before I even realized it, sister communities before I realized it.
Yeah.
And one of the women there, I was mentioning, someone's like, did you find a place yet? Da, 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 whatever. And she's like, oh, well, my boyfriend has a blah, 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 and it's got this 3 bedrooms and it's da, da, da. But when she said the number, and it was exactly the number I wrote down.
Wow, amazing.
I was like, okay, thank you.
Scripting in the works, yes.
So I was doing a lot of the things without knowing. That's why when the opportunity to start studying came up, I was able to trust it better because I kind of already had a taste, or
You all had
because
also tapped into that intuitive.
without, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm also going to be honest. When I decided to explore being a soulpreneur, all right, I remember when I was first, and someone said to me, someone said, can you really make money doing things like that? And I thought about, well, look at Louise Hay.
Right.
Look at Doreen Virtue.
Right.
Look at Sylvia Brown. Look at Wayne Dyer. I just started saying, well, look at these people. If they can do it, why would it be that only a handful of people on this planet can do that? Of course it's possible. I just had to open myself up to, first you have to admit it's possible.
It is.
And then saying, okay, it's possible. I may not know the how right now, but as long as I keep going, it's possible. Let me look for a way. Let me be open to a way. You got to open that door first.
Right.
And then when I did go to look to find someone to work with, because I wanted someone that not only understood business, but kind of understood what it was I was doing.
Mm.
Guess what I also found out? I was then introduced to this world of women that were soulpreneurs. I knew it was possible, but now here I saw more proof. Look at all of these women. And now this was, let's go back to 2019, because it was before the online space blew up like it did. All right, between 2020 and 2021, the online space blew up by 400%, and it
Massively. Yeah.
keeps growing.
Yeah.
So I'm going back to 2019, and I saw all of these women, and I was like, holy snap.
You're not alone.
It's damn possible. And so, yeah, I took that leap, and I was like, I had to, of course, talk to like the brain. The brain, the puppy gets involved in everything.
Sure.
And that's why mindset work is so important, to bridge what the soul wants to what's coming on and acting on the outside, because you've got to go through your filters.
Right.
And so I opened that up, and I was like, okay. And I was like, all right, but at least, you know what? When you work with someone, or you take a class, a program, something like that, if you're doing it as a business, it's a business expense. Okay. All right. So I'm going to be rewarded for trusting myself here. And then learning that there's no such thing as failure, only feedback. That was pivotal. Learning that and trusting myself. If I am saying I'm working with my guides, guardians, and angels, and this is who I am, and this is what I do, and I said, I want to do this. I want to help others, but support, cancel, delete, but I want to help others and do it. Supporting myself by helping others with who I am, what I know, what I do. And so I moved forward. And then something interesting. All right, guys, no offense to vegans. My BFF is vegan. So, like, hello, all right? No problems with it.
Oh
But
my
I'm
goodness.
out there doing my thing, talking about manifesting and mindset, and how important this is to tapping in and living the life that you truly desire.
Mm.
All right, because the life that we desire is not always what we're living. It's usually living the life that we've been conditioned to create.
Yeah.
We've looked at the patterns. This is a colonial, this is a Victorian, this is a Cape Cod, this is this. Here's the lumber, and we're going to give you the stuff so you can just build that. Because that's what, but it's okay, because they were conditioned, and the ones before them were conditioned.
Right.
So there's no
Right.
blame. This isn't a blame game, okay? At all. It's about, once you have that awareness, it feels stifling, right? And we all charted. If you are listening to this podcast, you charted to use your abilities, your gifts, and you charted to attain spiritual knowledge so that you could step out into the world and help others
Yeah.
doing this. If you are listening to this, guess what? You charted that. That means it's in your blueprint. It is on your list of things to do, be, have, and achieve in this lifetime.
Yeah.
And once you make that decision to come out of, I like to call it the broom closet, that closet. All right. Guess what, guys? I had nobody. I was a kid in the 1960s, and then growing up and blah, blah, blah. And we didn't start getting new age until like the end of the 80s, early 90s.
Okay.
Yeah. Right?
I'm just
Okay. So,
true.
yeah. But yeah, you charted to do that. And there comes a time when you have to trust yourself. and that the things that you desire and that knocking you here is that inside, that real you that's saying, oh my
Yeah.
God, please, we
Yeah.
got to do it. This is what we said we would do. And
And
so
that's
after
why I
that,
think it feels so strong, because of that last bit that you just said. This is what we came here to do. And you get this pull where it's like, if you attempt to do anything other than that, there's frustration. There's this feeling of, perhaps, like, there's something I'm not accomplishing or fulfilling. I don't feel fulfilled.
I don't feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so while I was so excited and you know, doing coaching, mindset coaching, I had that bitch fest
Yeah.
with my crew,
Yeah.
and I
Sometimes
heard,
needed, sometimes needed.
and all of a sudden I heard, it's time. And I waited, and I'm like, okay, and I was like, what are we playing, Trivial Pursuit? More specific, please. It's time. And then all of a sudden, bam. I had been denying a whole part of myself
Mm.
that I loved. And I
Mm.
even knew when I was doing the mindset stuff that I still wanted to do readings. I still wanted to do the psychic things, the paranormal. I still wanted to, but that wasn't in my program,
Mm.
right? When I realized that and I understood, wait a minute, so many people charted. They don't know where to turn. They don't know who to listen to. And unlike in my day when there was nobody, now there's a glut of information and they have to try to sort it out and figure it out for themselves.
Right. Right.
In my day, there was no internet, so you would maybe meet somebody and they would teach you firsthand, and like learning to cook or whatever, but I didn't even have that.
Yeah.
And then when the new age opened, I went searching for that, and I literally flew all over to attend things and learn anywhere I could.
Mm.
And all of a sudden it came to me, and they went, bam, it's time. I brought the two together. That everything I knew, the psychic abilities, all of that, the angels, the guides, the guardians, the ancestors, the universe, the Reiki,
Yeah.
the energy healing, crystals and tarot and oracles and pendulums and, ghosts versus spirits and just like everything, right? All of this whole side of me with the science, the mindsets, the NLP, the EFT, the tapping, all of this stuff, and brought it together. And literally within 36 hours of that, it's time. The Lightworker Development School was created and founded. The first program was designed, and 3 people had already enrolled to work with me as their mentor.
That is amazing. That is amazing.
But I had to listen.
Yeah.
Like you said, when you're aligned, I had to listen. Now, I had gone through a dark night of the soul, guys. We
Mm.
kind of skipped over that. When I was 13, I had a nervous breakdown.
Wow. So young.
13 years old, nervous breakdown. I didn't know I was an empath. I didn't know. I knew I was psychic, but I didn't know the word psychic. I didn't apply that word to myself until I was almost 40 years old.
Yeah.
I was like, no, Jean Dixon's psychic. Sylvia Brown's a psychic. James Von Prague is a psychic. Beth
Everyone
Edwards
else
is a,
is except for me.
right? I just know things, right? Hello. It wasn't until I really discovered what all the clairs were, and I'm like, oh, I do that. Oh, I do that. Oh, I've always done that. Oh, I've been reading tarot since I was 16. Before that, though, I started with tea leaves. you know, but to me, it was just like I got this old ancient book from that was handed. It was so freaking old, this book. And I would just look in, see stuff, look instead of being this, and I just intuitively knew, okay, so because da da da. I didn't know. I thought everybody just pick up a book and look and you do. I didn't
No,
know.
no.
So no, I had had nervous breakdown.
Mm.
I'd had two nervous breakdowns, one back to back. It was just really. Um, I had a life-threatening, almost didn't make it experience.
Mm.
1980. I was 21, no, 22. 21, 22. That 22, right? Before I even knew about numerology.
Mhm.
I'm a 22-4. So I was hitting my double 22 year.
That is
I
so
didn't know
crazy.
numerology.
So
I
am
didn't
I.
know my life. But I now looking back, when you learn these things, and I'm going, oh, it was hit my double. And literally when I said I was paralyzed. I
Wow.
couldn't move. I mean, so it really forced me time within just here, okay? Um,
Mhm.
when my daughter passed,
Mm.
you know, when I lost my house to a house fire, and then losing my house, divorce, lost my car. I'm up on a mountain, two kids, no, wiped out the bank accounts, no money. Um, car was in his name, no car. I'm 7 miles up from the nearest road. I mean, literally. Um, I, but I also went through a really bad dark night of the soul,
Yeah.
and it lasted 2 years. And I'm going to be honest, I would wake up in the morning and I would say, oh my God, I'm still here. I'm still here. You know, for many years, it was like, my kids, didn't matter what was going on. My kids, I'd get up and go because my kids. Let me tell you something. For each person, dark night of the soul is harder and worse than anything you can imagine.
Mm.
I mean, I went through postpartum depression after I had my last daughter. That's worse than they tell you. But this dark night of the soul, what was I? It was leading up to. So again, I'm in my 50s, but it was just, you know, and I'm doing everything I knew how to do. Calling upon my angels, calling upon my guides, doing this, doing that, da 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 da. And it was when I went for my first NLP training that I was introduced to when I went for hypnotherapy.
Mm.
And I went. I forced myself. I went. I was like, okay, guys, we can keep going, keep going. And it landed in my lap. And I was like, okay. And then it landed in my lap. And then it landed into my lap. And they were like, hey, listen, because you've studied with us before, we're going to give you this special rate. It was the kind of price where there were no excuses to say no. And I understood that. I had that awareness that said, okay, it keeps coming, and it keeps getting, and now it's at the point where I have no excuse. Okay. And that was when I learned the technique that set me free. And um, yes, I did go get help for depression. All right. A lot of spiritual people do have battles or have had battles with depression.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why? We're empaths. And if you don't know how to filter that, and you take on everything and you don't know it's not your own, that's number one.
Right.
Number two, not only are we empaths, but we're empathic. Even if I'm not feeling, because we love and we care and we're nurturers and we just want everyone to be whole and healthy and happy. And when you're not, it hurts us, it affects
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
And when you see the things going on in the world, and it breaks your heart, because you're like, also because we, listen, you charted your life to be here now. I'm going to tell you right now, high five, because I already know you are no wuss.
High five.
This high five, this being here on planet Earth now is
Yeah.
not for sissies.
Yeah.
All right?
No,
We
it's not.
charted to be here, and we have all experienced trauma.
Yeah.
Every single one. Ask any soulpreneur. Ask
That's
any
true. Yeah.
spiritual person. We have all been through some really traumatic things. And the reason for that, believe it or not, and I am not trying to just put icing on a crap cake, guys, ladies, listen to me. We did chart that shit. And the reason we did is because it was how we figured out to get past it, how we figured that out. But we have that empathy to be able to say to somebody, I can truly not just sympathize, but empathize. I've been in those shoes. This is how I got out of those shoes.
Yep.
And that gave us the training, the boot camp training, to go out and now help those, because you're going to find that the people you end up helping are the ones that are going through the BS and the situations that you went through, and you had to figure it out.
I totally agree.
We become the light, that flashlight, that beacon of light, and to help others that need that light.
Yes.
So I help those who know they're supposed to go out there and be of service.
Tell us the name again of your program, how people can work together with you.
It is the Lightworker Development School. I do have a couple of different programs, from, teaching like aromatherapy to Zen and introducing you to all of that, to working together with me, having me mentor you one-on-one to tap in and discover your abilities, develop those, master energy, work with the universe. So you're working with your guides, your guardians fluently, and literally creating that program that you are meant to do and get out there and teach and be that shining light. There's so many ways to be a healer, and it could be energy work, it could be teaching spiritual truths, it could be through spiritual counseling or coaching, it could be through mindset work, it could be through a mediumship reading, an oracle or tarot, or a psychic reading. There's so many ways. It could be teaching about how to work with herbs holistically.
Yeah.
There's so many ways.
It's
So
like you just have to tap into what is your way,
your unique way.
your
And
unique way.
let me also say, it doesn't matter how many people do psychic readings. It doesn't matter how many people are doing Reiki or
Yeah.
holy light. It doesn't matter how many people are writing a book, this A, B, C, D, E, because guess what? Is there only one book? No. Have you only read one book or bought one book in your life? No.
No.
Have you, is there only one psychic out there that you see or maybe follow? No. We each are unique. We each are our own soul print, right? Just like we all have a different um, fingerprint. You have your own soul print, your own soul imprint. And there are people that are going to resonate with you. There are people that you are going to talk with. There are people that are going to resonate with your energy and how you explain things, how you present things, how you service things, that someone else, right? Um, Not everyone is the same. You're not meant to be the same. So if you
Mm.
sell yourself a BS story, that there's no room for you, or your voice doesn't matter, or there's already too many people doing blah, blah, blah. Again, I say to you, have you ever been to more than one Italian restaurant? Have you seen more than one Italian restaurant? Is there
Yes,
even
thank
more than one
goodness.
just within, right?
Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Yes, absolutely. Because
Yes.
not each Italian restaurant is the same as the other. Thank goodness.
Every
Different
pizza's different.
flavors, different combinations, different dishes. Presto. Presto. Well, Erin, can you let us know where can people, the other passionate soulpreneurs out there, inspiring passionate soulpreneurs, where can they find you if they want to find out more information?
They can find me on Facebook at Lightworker Erin Koczur. I do have a private group for those that are looking for a soul tribe of heart-centered, like-minded
Something
souls,
that
and
a
that
lot of us need. Yes. Yeah.
which is and a lot of ton of resources for those that are just starting to learn, especially about how to do that inner work
Yeah.
with their spirit, with the universe, with energy. And so that is Light Warriors group. It's also on Facebook. I do have my website is erinkoczur.com.
Great.
Same name, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, all the places. And, if someone would like to have a private conversation, they are more than welcome to reach out to me. I am not meant to mentor everybody. All
Right.
right. And that's okay. Right. Um, I am meant to work with those women that are saying, okay, I feel this calling. I know I need to get out there. I just need I need some more skills. I need some more knowledge, and I need that confidence and that guidance and that accountability,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
To keep us moving when we're getting in our own way. Um, but then I also work with women that are just like, oh my gosh, I want to know more. I just want to know more about more things. So I do have different programs, and they're more than welcome. You can also shoot me a message, email me at erinkoczur@gmail.com.
And
So
if you can please spell for our listeners your name and like your email so they can.
yes, it's ERINKOC as in cat, Z as in zebra, UR. Again, and you can look up Lightworker Erin Koczur or even the Lightworker Development School. I'll pop up out there.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Erin, for sharing your
Thank
story
you.
with us today. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. I so happy to be here. And I hope with all my rambling that the number one thing that is heard and felt is give yourself permission
Mm,
to be yourself, to be authentic, to explore the things that excite you, that fill your tanks. Give yourself permission to understand that only you are really responsible for your happiness, for your fulfillment. And if you can't give yourself permission, then I hope right now you heard me give you permission. Go out, shine bright. The world needs what only you have to offer. I give you permission to shine.
thank you, Erin. And thank you, passionate soulpreneurs, for joining us today. We will see you on the next episode, and we also hope to hear more from the beautiful Erin. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.